Far in the rural hinterlands of northern Maine is a tract of dense, ominous forest land called Blackwood Hollow. Locals have whispered for generations about the forest's sinister past, a place where hunters have disappeared, where the trees appear to move and enclose intruders, and where an old, evil presence lurks in the darkness. Few who go in are ever seen or heard from again, and those who do manage to find their way out are left forever changed. In the fall of 1987, during hunting season, 5 experienced hunters ventured into Blackwood Hollow. They were seasoned outdoorsmen who knew the perils of the wild, yet nothing could have readied them for what was to come. They spent the first night in a small clearing. When the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest grew forebodingly quiet. No crickets, no wind rustling through leaves, no far-off hooting of owls. The men nervously joked about all they'd heard, but fell silent when they heard it. A low, raspy growl, not that of any animal they'd ever heard before. It seemed to be all around, and nowhere at the same time, humming through the trees. By dawn, one of the hunters had vanished. His sleeping bag was ripped open, and the earth beneath it was streaked with deep, claw-like gashes. The men looked for hours, calling out his name, but the forest appeared to swallow the sound. They had no sign of him. Growling resumed that night, this time louder and with the sound of heavy footsteps crunching around their camp. The men huddled around the fire with rifles at the ready, but the fire threw ominous, long shadows that appeared to twist and writhe of their own accord. One hunter was certain a pair of glowing eyes watched him from the darkness, but each time he fired his rifle, they would disappear. The following day, another hunter was gone. This time they found his rifle left behind at the clearing's edge, the barrel twisted and distorted as though by some unbelievable strength. The men tried to flee, but the forest had other ideas. Regardless of the direction they traveled, they consistently returned to the clearing, as if the trees themselves were herding them in a circle. On the third night, there were only 2 hunters left. The growling was incessant, and the shadows appeared to be closing in on them. One of the men, now deranged, screamed into the forest. His friend never saw him again. The final hunter, a man named Tom, survived to stagger out of the woods days afterward, parched and hallucinating. He was discovered walking down a deserted highway, his clothing tattered and his body covered in severe lacerations. He ranted nonsensically about the thing in the woods and the eyes that followed him. He said the forest was alive, that it had selected him to bring a message: stay away. Tom was hospitalized but never regained his sanity. He spent the remainder of his years in a psychiatric ward, screaming about the shadows that pursued him, even in the daytime. The other hunters were never seen or heard from again. To this day, Blackwood Hollow is a place of mystery and terror. Locals shun it, and hunters steer clear, knowing the tales are not merely legend. Those few who are either brave or brave enough to go into the woods have a tendency to vanish without a trace. And on quiet nights, when the wind is blowing just right, you can still hear the growling, echoing through the trees, as if something is waiting and watching